Welcome to the Upward Running Podcast, where faith fuels your fitness journey.
Welcome back to the Upward Running Podcast. This is your one stop each week to be motivated and inspired to get off the couch and onto the running trail, where you can in turn inspire others to do the same. Let's learn, laugh, and leap into running together, giving God the glory for what we are able to do in His name. Amen. Well, I am your running host, Dean Thompson, coming to you once again from the Upward Sports Studio. You know, we talk about doing hard things all the time on this podcast, and today's story is about why that's important, and you don't want to miss that. And then we've all drifted over to the edge of the road while we're driving, and we felt those rumble strips kind of shake us back into paying attention to where we're going. Well, what can those strips teach us? We're going to find out today in Dean's Thoughts. And then joining me for those stories and much more is Upward Running Director Mitchell Hollis.
Happy birthday, Dean. If you're watching the podcast right now, you'll see some balloons and you'll see the numbers on these balloons. It's a big one. Yeah. I think your beard's a little grayer this morning.
I think be.
I think you kind of hobbled in here a little bit more like an old man this morning.
Refuse.
But happy 60th birthday to the fastest old man I know.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, so
6
how does
decades.
It feel?
It feels fine. It feels good. Yeah.
Like any other day.
Like any other day.
Yeah.
Although I'll tell you this, I don't want things to get too heavy here. I'm having a really hard time getting into my birthday, though.
I am too.
And not because of 9/11. I'm kind of used to that by now. You know, with my birthday's always on 9/11, so it's always kind of a heavy thing.
So it's September the 11th when we're recording this.
That's right. Yeah. But the whole thing that happened yesterday as we record this with Charlie Kirk.
Yeah.
I never realized quite how much respect I had for that man until now.
Sure.
He was a good Christian man. The guy was always happy. He always talked about how he loved God first. Mm-hmm. It permeated everything that he did. He was a good family man. Mm-hmm. And for anybody out there who doesn't agree with Charlie, let me say this. Every answer he gave to every question he had was biblically based. Mm-hmm. Now, you can disagree with that. That's fine. But you know what Charlie Kirk did? He handed a mic to the person that disagreed with him and let them speak first.
Yeah.
And as Christians, that's what we should be doing. He lived his life in a true Christian fashion, the way that we should all be living our lives. And we should be bold and speak up for biblical truths. And that's what he did. And so when I think about all the people in public, there's a lot of people out there who display good Christ-like qualities. Charlie's just as good as just about any of them.
Right.
And so we're going to miss him. And so I've had a hard time, honestly.
Yeah. I was watching it last night. I was actually sitting here at my desk when Holly texted me and said that he had been shot. And I tried to. It's horrible that when these things happen now, it seems like our mind goes political.
Yeah.
And there was, while I believe the act was political, what we do in response to that should be anything but political. And you know, I don't post on social media anymore. And last night I just said, if you see my post, I just said, God help us.
Yeah.
Because what I was seeing, and I'm not even going to point to sides, what I saw was humans celebrating it.
Yeah.
And that broke my heart, because I guess if I put the shoe on the other foot, if this were, I'm not even going to say a person, just somebody that I vehemently disagree with, I would be heartbroken. Mm-hmm. And if you celebrated that yesterday, which I doubt anybody listening to this falls into that camp, shame on you.
Yeah.
This is a human life. This was a dad. This was a Christ follower, both of which he says by his own mouth were first.
That's right.
Politics is what he did. It wasn't who he was.
Yeah.
And I think even in the news this morning that I was watching, we're falling into the trap of putting that as his identity. that wasn't his identity. It's what he did.
Yep.
He was good at it. Agree with him or disagree with him, to your point, he always, it was healthy debate. I love debate.
Yep, me too.
I love it. But, I mean, I was watching the footage from the 9/11 this morning, the young lady on the subway. It feels, it seems, and maybe it's always been this way. I'm sure it has. It has. But we see it so vividly now in the age of technology that human life is just not valued. Yeah. And when I say that, it reminded me of other things, you know, the unborn. We just don't value life. And so I'll end this part of the discussion with exactly what I said last night. God help us.
Yeah.
Because he's the only one that can change hearts.
Amen.
You and I can't change anybody's hearts.
Amen. And I pray moving forward that I am able to more display the Charlie Kirk, the way he was, the way he lived his life out loud for Christ in front of the world. And I just pray that I can live like that.
Yeah.
Our post of the week last week comes from Sonia Fields. She wrote, "Good morning. I'm Sonia, and I'm new to this community. I started running about 2 years ago when my pet sitter, I almost said pet sister, my pet sitter invited me to run a 5K. I had always been active, mostly weight training and hiking, but I had never tried running before. I completed my first 5K in December of 2023, and throughout 2024, I ran a few more 5Ks, a 10K, and even a half marathon in October. Earlier this year, I ran another 5K, but shortly after, I had a health scare that sidelined me from running for about 5 months. Thankfully, I wasn't completely inactive during that time. I continued with strength training and regular walks. Now that I've been fully cleared by my doctors, I'm ready and excited to get back into running. I'm treating this like a fresh start. I am so happy to have found this community." Another new person to the group. Last week we had Diane, who was a new person to the group. And this week we have Sonia. Thank God for fresh starts. She's talking about a health scare. So many of us have these things from time to time where we have this reality check where something happens, because a lot of times we go through life every day kind of feeling invincible, and then something happens and it jars us into paying attention. But I firmly believe that running and walking are some of the best activities that you can do at any point that you get one of those health scares and you need to become healthier.
Sure. Yeah, just get moving. And to Sonia's post, I mean, first of all, welcome Sonia, but we've got so many new people coming on board right now. It's really cool that, you know, we've been talking, we've kind of got everything done now, and with the app and the transition, and so it's refreshing to be moving into this part. You and I are going to take some trips here in a couple weeks to go see some coaches and do some podcast on the road, which we've never done that together. You've taken it on the road a few times, but that's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah. So welcome Sonia. Welcome to all the new members. I think we have a lot of new listeners. So welcome to the club.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, she also mentions doing weight training, which you talk about a perfect combination. The idea of doing running and or walking and weight training, especially as we get older, it's a perfect combination for keeping us healthy and strong.
It's kind of what Nick Bear calls a hybrid athlete.
Yeah.
You know, Dean, I think, I can't remember. I was trying to think this morning. Did we talk about Nick Bear in the past few weeks on here?
Twice.
Okay, twice. Yes. Well, it's, you know, I've been following kind of his transition. You know, he's not a new believer, fairly new believer. Mm-hmm. And to see the transition in his business, and his most recent podcast was him and a pastor.
I tell you what, you sent me that when I listened to it, and it may be the best podcast I've ever listened to.
Yeah, and it's really cool to see what God's doing in his life, because it's like, you know, it's kind of like when you first start running, you've never run before. It's like you're making all these big gains every day, and to watch Nick's life, at least from the outside looking in, I don't know him personally, but what he's portraying is he has taken humongous steps toward Christ.
Yep.
Every single day, and he's doing it boldly. I think I said last week, I'll guarantee you everybody around him in his world is saying, what are you doing? Don't do this. And he's like, you don't understand, is what I think he's thinking. I've got a mandate from Christ to put him first, and that's what I'm doing. And it's just awesome to see. And
once again, back to the Charlie Kirk thing, he's doing it out loud in front of everybody.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Our run of the week comes from Timothy Pearl, the American Heroes Run, 24 hours. Fun times, super surprising, difficult. It must have been the accidental 3-week taper. Not sure exactly what that's about, but Timothy Pearl ran 102.7 miles in a little less than 24 hours. I reached out to him a couple of months ago to try to get together because he had done another ultra event at that time, and I thought it would be interesting to talk with. Well, we never kind of settled on a date to do that, and so we're gonna do that sometime.
Yeah,
because he's already agreed to do it. But I saw this 102 miles in 24 hours in Boulder, Colorado. Now, Boulder, as I understand it, is at 6,000 feet elevation. So you would think that would make it more difficult.
I would have thought it would have been higher than that.
Yeah.
Honestly.
I was thinking
it's a training ground because 6,000 feet is just barely getting into the altitude where you get the benefits, isn't it?
Well, yes, but I think there's places just outside of Boulder.
Oh, okay.
People live in Boulder and they go, and there's some 7,000 foot elevation places right there. I think that's right. Yeah. I may be wrong. If I'm out of line, sorry. But after doing all that ultra stuff I did last year, I look at these ultra runners in an entirely different light than I used to. Not that I ever had any kind of bad thoughts about them, because, my old high school coach was doing ultras back in the 80s, and I was supporting him then. But I just feel like I understand them better now, and it just makes everything a little bit more interesting.
I have a deep level of respect for the guys that do that a lot, because it's a mind thing.
Yeah.
The mind's the hardest thing to train.
Yep.
And, you get out there. Well, the time I tried to do, I did 50, but I was going for 100. The guy I talked to beforehand that does them a lot, he was part of Run Club at the time. And he said, if you can run a marathon, you can run 100 miles. So long as you can convince yourself to do it.
Yeah.
It's not the legs. Yeah. It's the mind, for sure.
That's a good way to put it. Our trivia question from last week, we were talking about the World Athletics Championships, and the question was, who has won the most World Athletic Championships medals? And so the World Championships didn't start until 1983, which is the year I graduated from high school, interestingly. I don't know that I realized that at the time, though I did pay attention to it. They did skip 1985, so they came back in 1987. And they have gone every odd year, with the exception of 2021 because of COVID, which they postponed it a year. They did it in 2022, so they did it again in 2023. Skipped 2024. Obviously, we had the Olympics, and then so they're back this year in 2025. So the answer to this question can't be anybody from before the 80s.
Sure.
So it has to be somebody more recent than that. And so that person who has won the most is Allison Felix, who I think also has the most Olympic medals for track and field as well. So she has won 20 medals in World Championships. A lot of those are relay medals. Yeah. Allison was on a lot of relays because she was really good at particularly the 4x400 relay. So she was on not only the women's 4x4 relay teams, she was also on some mixed relays as well. But anyway, she won 20 of them. The second place is Shelly Ann Fraser-Price from Jamaica, a sprinter. She won 16. For the men, the all-time leader is Usain Bolt. Usain Bolt has won 14. And those, again, those include relays as well there. The all-time leader for individual medals is Usain Bolt, because 9 of his 14 were individual medals. And tied for second place is Shelly Ann Fraser-Price with 8, and Mo Farah with 8. Mo Farah had 8, and he's a distance runner. You don't see that a lot with distance runners.
That one surprised me.
Yeah. So Mo has 8. The leader for field events, I thought would be interesting to mention, was Sergey Bubka. Sergey Bubka was a pole vaulter back in the 80s and 90s. He was kind of the Mondo Duplantis of that time period. I guess Mondo's the Sergey of today.
Is Mondo the one that keeps breaking his own record?
Yep. And Sergey did the same thing back in the 80s.
Yeah.
And so,
smart.
Yeah, for sure. So he won 6, and they were all gold. He won 6 world championships, all gold. Mondo has won 3 outdoor medals and 3 indoor world championship medals. Of course, we're talking about outdoors here, but 2 of those are gold. His first one was silver back in 2019. So, but he's still young. He could beat Sergey's record of 6.
You know what? This just came to me. It's me wondering what I would do. But if you were that Duplantis, that's the guy right now, right?
Yep.
If you were in a league of your own, and he obviously is, and you know, we kind of joke that he inch by inch keeps breaking his record. If you were in a league of your own and you were in his shoes, would that be your strategy, inch by inch, or would you try? Because I guess I kind of compare it to golf. I'm getting completely random. It's like the layup shot and then into the green, or it's 300 yards over the water. I'm the 300 yards over the water. 80% of the time I'm going in the water, which would be like, I want to crush that record. The layup would be, I just want to get an inch.
Yeah.
What would your strategy be? If you were that guy, would you try to just crush your own record, or would you just keep trying to inch by inch?
In my heart, I would want to crush it, but it would depend.
Yeah.
Because I get the feeling that there is probably, I think he's a Nike athlete. Is he a Nike athlete?
I'm sure there's some money tied
There's
to it.
money involved with every time he
record.
breaks that record. And so if you got money involved, I don't know. I might do what he's doing.
That's true. Yeah. I don't know why I thought of it that way. I guess because I played golf last week, and it became a vivid reminder that's why I was never good at golf, because I'm just...
Too many chances.
I'm not laying up.
Yeah.
I'm going over the water.
Yeah. So. I get it.
Upward Sports equips churches to run self-sustaining sports ministries in their communities. Whether you're a sports fanatic or on staff at a church, Upward Sports will give you all the tools you need to run a first-class sports ministry that allows you to reach families in your community. Upward Sports offers basketball, soccer, flag football, cheerleading, volleyball, baseball, and softball through league and camp offerings. At Upward Sports, we want to help your church make a difference and give you increased opportunities to share the gospel. Learn more today at upward.org. That's upward.org.
All right, we're back. Let me bring up an issue that I never really thought about before. I don't know why I never thought about it, but I was listening to a podcast this week where they were talking about how in training now we have different shoes that we use for different applications in training. Back in my day, back when I was young, of course, we had one pair of shoes. We had 2 pairs of shoes. We had the pair of shoes we used in training, and we had the pair of shoes we used for racing, and that was it. And you didn't use your racing shoes for training. You just didn't do it. And that obviously is not the way it is anymore. So now you've got all these different types of shoes. But I thought about this. One of the things that's been a thing ever since in the 80s when I was running was we always talked about running on soft surfaces, right? That it was better for your legs. It's good for recovery. There's lots of reasons why running on soft surfaces is good. Does that matter as much now that shoes are soft? You see what I'm saying? Because back then shoes were not soft, and so the soft surface helped. But does the soft surface even help anymore since the shoes are so soft?
I kind of gave this a lot of thought this morning. I don't know, because it kind of goes to the whole. A few things we're going to talk about right after this with respects to this. It goes to the idea, are we making things too easy in training? Because, pounding, yes, you can look at it as bad, but you can also look at it as good. It builds bone. It builds resilience in your body. And so, when I was racing triathlon, like that whole concept was you train heavy and you race light. So you do the hard in training, and then you peel away all the hardness that you can, meaning the heavy, not cushiony shoes, and you put the lightweight cushion shoes on. Even in bikes, you never put race wheels on a bike until race day, or maybe the day before, just to make sure everything's working good. But now you show up at a bike ride and everybody's got a set of zips on just out leisure ride. I know why, because they look cool.
Yeah.
And they're expensive and people don't want to just use them for race day. Same thing with shoes. When the what was the Nike, the first carbon, the
Alpha Fly
or whatever.
Yeah.
When those first came out, when did you see them? Race days.
Yep.
Well, now you see people out running in them. And so I feel like we've kind of, in doing that, you kind of strip away that race day advantage, because it's not just the equipment. It's not just the race wheels that make you faster. It's the perception.
Yeah.
And so when you lace up those Alpha Flies or whatever on race day, you think you're faster because you're putting those all on, and therefore you are faster.
Yeah.
It's just like those race wheels.
Yeah.
When I'll never forget when Lane was like 10 years old, we got him a set of zip wheels. They made him faster, but it wasn't because the zip wheels were that much more aerodynamic. It's because Lane thought these wheels are going to make me faster, and therefore they did.
Yeah.
And so I feel like I know it's kind of getting away a little bit from the surface as you talk about, but we don't have that race day excitement advantage so many times now, because we're using that advantage all throughout training. And so it's just another training tool. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Oh, it makes a lot of sense, and I totally agree with you. However, it's worse than that. And I'll tell you why. I figured this out last week. So last week, I decided I was having a hard time. I ran a race, and then I was having a hard time getting my body back to wanting to do a track workout. And it just wasn't recovering. Mm-hmm. And so one day I went out and I thought, I'm not going to drive to the track, and because I had already done that. I drove to the track and my body couldn't do it. And so I just did a regular run. Well, I decided there's a track near my house. It's just not a standard track. But I wore my old racing flats down to the track thinking, if I wear my old racing flats, I'll feel fast and I'll want to run fast, and maybe I'll be able to salvage some kind of a workout this week. Well, I went down there and I did that. Turns out I felt awful. Mm-hmm. I was running really slow. I was having a really hard time, but I decided, well, I'll just keep running. I'll just run a normal run. So I ran 5 or 6 miles in these old racing flats. I could barely walk the next day because they put so much of a strain on my calves. Now, the reason why they put such a strain on my calves is because I have been wearing a carbon-plated shoe in training a lot lately, thinking that was helping me recover better. And I'm sure to some degree it was. But I think what it did was it made my calves weaker. Well,
Could it be that it helped you recover better because you weren't even taxing some of those muscles?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
So you actually weren't even training them the way you should. Therefore, your perception is you recovered faster.
That's my whole point.
That's a good
I think that
hypothesis, Dean.
I think using these special shoes too often. Now, do I think you should use them in training? Sure. I think there's a time to use different types of shoes, and I do. In a given week, I usually use at least 3 different types of shoes in a given week. But we have to be careful about what shoes we're wearing, because I think they can hurt us as much as they can help us. And in this case, what I'm doing now is I'm going to go out once a week and make sure I get in a relatively short run in some kind of a flat shoe so I can work on my calves, because I think I've allowed them to get weak.
Wear your lawnmower shoes.
Wear my lawnmower shoes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even I just mentioned golf. Somebody bought me what is it where you got 3 boxes of ball. Anyway, it's 36 golf balls. Somebody bought me a box of balls, and they're Pro V1s for Christmas. Do you think I use those Pro V1s on just a normal golf day?
No, you save those for good days.
Those are for when I need to play good today, and I probably play better. All the other times, I train on the old Maxifly X-Outs.
Yeah, yeah.
Because they're 50 cents a piece. I don't care if they go in the water. And so, I don't know. It's a mentality thing. I think is a lot of it. It's have that race day advantage, whatever that is for you. You know, maybe it's the special chafing cream you put. I don't know, but have something that you're holding back for race day.
Yeah,
and I just think it makes a difference, not a competitive physical difference. But there's a lot to be said about the mental advantage you get from I'm wearing or I'm using or I'm doing whatever that I don't do any of the time except for race day.
Yeah.
That's an advantage.
I think so. Well, this week's story is another one from Rhonda Williams, and this one's a topic that we know all too well. She agrees with us that we need to do hard things, and this is entitled, We Can Do Hard Things. I signed up for a 4-day Ironman camp while training for my first 70.3 Ironman triathlon. It was just a 2-hour drive from my house, so I was excited. I saw it as a great opportunity to learn from more experienced athletes. The first couple of days went well. However, on the third day, the coach took us to a long stretch of hilly road for bike training. I went out too hard trying to keep up with a faster pack and paid for it during the second half of the ride. I had to walk my bike partway up a long, steep hill, which was both embarrassing and demoralizing. While we were stretching in the parking lot after the ride, the coach informed us that we would be repeating the same ride the very next day and adding a few miles to it. My heart sank. I barely made it through today. How am I going to complete an even longer ride tomorrow? I dropped to my knees and prayed in my hotel room. Do you want me to ride tomorrow, Lord? Do I have the strength to get through it? I prayed all evening and again as soon as my eyes opened in the morning. I was tired and sore from the day before, and doubt filled my heart. I didn't feel a response from God, so I decided to load up my bike and gear, head to the meeting place, and make a decision once I arrived. If God doesn't want me to do this, He'll let me know before the ride begins, I assured myself. I was the second slowest out of 25 cyclists. The coach asked me to stay with the slowest person during the ride. Quote, "You two can encourage and help each other," he explained. I felt deflated, but agreed. I had been working so hard to keep up with the faster cyclists that being labeled slow stirred up feelings of defeat. I began to question my decision to participate in the camp. I don't belong here, I sighed. I whispered another prayer for strength as we rolled out of the parking lot. Please help me get through this, Lord. Riding with a little less effort helped me complete the ride without having to walk my bike up that steep hill, and I did it the day after an exhausting ride. What a feeling of accomplishment. I went from deflated to elated, defeated to completed. In the process, I made a new friend. It turns out I wasn't the only one feeling like I didn't belong. God used that ride to show me that I can do hard things. I had never attempted 2 hard workouts back to back before. Now I know I'm stronger than I thought I was. All I have to do is trust Him. He will always give us the strength we need to complete what He asks us to do. God also reminded me of several lessons on that ride. Lessons I learned a long time ago but somehow forgot once I arrived at camp. First, never go out too fast. Had I been more realistic about my pace, I would not have had to walk my bike up that hill on that first ride. The second lesson builds on the first. Run or ride at my own pace instead of trying to keep up with faster athletes. I also learned that through helping someone else, I can help myself as well. The ride was still a challenge, but it was a much more enjoyable one. My new friend and I encouraged each other and laughed together. We even stopped on a bridge to take a selfie with the gorgeous valley below. I love that picture because it reminds me of all the lessons I learned that day. I had viewed riding with someone slower as a sacrifice, but it was actually a tremendous blessing. And I give thanks to God. He always knows what's best.
That's a great story, Rhonda.
Yeah.
She's one of the Run Club triathletes.
Yep.
We got a few of them now.
We do.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rhonda's. This is so good because everything she says here is absolutely true. That you got to be careful about trying to keep up with people that you don't need to try to keep up with. Mm-hmm. On the other side of that, though, is the idea of being challenged to keep up with people. Mm-hmm. I think that, if you go to, as I understand it, the way the Kenyans often train is somebody will get with a group that is kind of a little faster than them, like this, and they just try to keep up with them as long as they can. Mm-hmm. They get dropped, and then they just kind of jog it in. And then the next day, they try to stay with them a little bit longer. Mm-hmm. Now, in this case, you got a camp where it's just a few days. You can't.
Yeah.
That's not practical. But over a long period of time, sometimes that's a good way to do things, is to try to.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked many times that, it's those workouts that don't make a whole lot of sense from a physical standpoint, physiologically, training-wise, but they make a ton of sense, again, going back to the mental side. We used to call them character builders.
Yep.
I'll never forget the time Lane decided at 12 years old or whatever that he wanted to go with the A+ group on the milkshake ride that leaves out of here. In the A+ group, there was some professional cyclists in that group, and
they're fast.
Just fast. Way faster than me. I went with the A group, not the A+. And that is not a little difference like it sounds like. It is a big jump.
Yeah.
And I said, you can, but I can't. So take off. And I'll never forget the first 2 or 3 times that they came back in from 40, 50, 60-mile rides. I would see the whole group come in. I would already be back at my truck. I would see the whole group come in. 10 minutes later, here's little Lane coming in. And he was so mad. Yeah. He's like, Dad, they're trying to drop me. I'm like, you bet they are. You're 12. They don't want you around. But I'll never forget that 3rd or 4th time he came in with them, and they were fist bumping him, and he earned his stripes. But yeah, I mean, that didn't make a whole lot of training sense.
Yeah.
My wife would say it didn't make a whole lot of your child going out with 25 grown men on who knows where. That didn't make sense either. But the principles that he learned, just like Rhonda here,
yep.
You learn a lot when you get kicked in the teeth.
Yep.
You learn a lot, during those times. So, and also to Rhonda's point, getting teamed up with that other lady, the best way to learn is often to teach. She was probably, she said second to last, so it makes me think that the other lady with her was the last.
Right.
And there's a lot to be said for taking somebody under your wing and teaching them and the things you learn in the process. We say that to our running coaches all the time.
So true.
So great story, Rhonda.
Yeah. Galatians 6:9, this comes from the Contemporary English Version, says, "Don't get tired of helping others. You will be rewarded when the time is right, if you don't give up." I love those last 5 words, if you don't give up. Because let's face it, human nature says when things aren't working out and things are one-sided that we should give up. A lot of times when we don't feel like we're getting something from a relationship or a thing that we're doing, we don't see the use in it. Mm-hmm. When I look back at my mother's life, mm-hmm. when I was young, all the way up into adulthood, my mother sacrificed so much for me. Mm-hmm. It was always one-sided. She was giving, I was taking, yeah. and that's the way it is with a lot of kids and mothers, and that's what a mother does. The only time I ever remember her being the other way is when I was young. She watched these soap operas, and of course back then you had to watch them live, or you didn't.
Was it Days of Our Lives?
It was Days of Our Lives and General Hospital.
Really?
Yes, those 2.
So, Bo and Hope and Marlena and Victor.
Yeah, I don't know.
You're trying to figure out how I know those because my mom watched Days of Our Lives.
I never watched.
Those images are seared in my brain from a young child.
I always went somewhere else while she was watching them. But anyway, that's the only thing I can ever remember her doing for herself when we were growing up.
Sands through the hourglass.
Yeah.
So are the days of our lives.
Absolutely.
I'm going off the rails here.
Well, but the thing is that she did a lot of things and never grew tired of doing things for us, for me and my brother. And as Christians, that's what we're called to be to everybody around us. We're called to never get tired of doing good things for others, whether they reciprocate or not. And that's a hard thing to do, because very often when people don't reciprocate, the first thing we want to do is just give up. And that's not biblical.
Yeah. Talking about giving, I don't know why this came up. Maybe it's because I've heard this name several times. But the whole idea of giving of yourself, a mother giving of herself, us teaching giving of ourselves. There's a book that I'm gonna read because I've heard it referred to so many times now, and it's a book written by a Jewish rabbi priest. His name is Daniel Lapin, and the book is called "Thou Shalt Prosper." Have you ever heard of it?
I haven't.
I heard Nick Bear talk about it. I've heard Chad Wright talk about it. I've heard Dave Ramsey talk about it for years. But the illustration that they give is always the same. And, Jewish people make up a very small percentage of the American population. But they are among the wealthiest in the country. They make up a huge percentage of the millionaires in our country. Mm-hmm. And it's because of this principle that he talks about in this book, and he talks about Jewish people. They are focused first on them and their family, and the picture they use is, I had to pull it up. It's called the Kiddush cup. It's the kind of the goblet looking thing, and it's got the saucer under it.
Yeah,
Yeah. And what he talks about is the Jewish people, they will fill that cup, which is them in their house. And if you look at Jewish people, a lot of them, they're extremely wealthy, but they live very modestly.
Yeah.
And he talks about they fill their cup, not to excess. Their lifestyle is not excessive, but they make sure that their cup is filled, and they continue to work and continue to give, so that the wine in this illustration pours over the cup and into the saucer. And the idea is that if you keep doing that, you can continue to give. And so it's not sacrificial giving when it comes to other people. Now, obviously, that's not the case, and that shouldn't be the case in giving to the Lord. That should be sacrificial. But to others, it's kind of like the whole concept of in an airplane, when they say if the oxygen mask comes down, what do you do first?
Put it over your face.
Put yours on first so that you can help others.
Yeah.
I don't know why that came up. It's because I've heard this name so many times, and then Rhonda asked this question or this scripture reference, and just the idea of giving, I think so many times we think it is noble to give sacrificially to those around us, and I think this principle challenges that. I'm not totally on a side or not yet, but it makes a lot of sense that if we don't put our mask on, if we don't make sure things are good with us in our house, then giving to others is going to last a very small amount of time. Jewish people are very giving. I mean,
yes, they are.
They're some of the largest philanthropy people in the world, and it's because of this principle. So I don't know why I brought that up.
Well, I don't know, but it makes me think about a neighbor that I had who he used to grow a garden.
Right.
And he grew a garden because he wanted to have this garden food, but he always had more than he needed. He always planted, and he used to always talk about, next year I think I'm going to cut my garden back, and then next year it'd be the same garden.
Or bigger.
Yeah. And he would give food away to all the neighbors.
Sure.
And the idea was, he was feeding himself, but he really enjoyed this giving stuff away, and it wasn't costing him a whole lot extra work to do that. It's kind of the same principle.
Well, I mean, some of the most fun you can have with money is giving.
And you know what I do today because of that man and what he did and the way he lived his life? Today, his widower, right? She his widow. Yeah. His widow she doesn't have anybody to do her yard work for her.
So you do the yard work.
You know why I do the yard work? Because I want to help out my friend who helped me out a lot when he was on this earth. And it's an honor to him to do it. And that's the lasting legacy that we can have when we do things like you're talking about. We have enough that we can do those kinds of things. Yeah. It's a good one. Talk about Jewish. Ephesians 6:10 from the version of the Bible, the complete Jewish Bible, says, "Finally, grow powerful in union with the Lord, in union with His mighty strength."
I'd never heard of the complete Jewish Bible.
I hadn't either. She puts this note in here: the complete Jewish Bible is a Christian Bible written in the Jewish style for both Jews and Christians. It contains both Old and New Testaments.
So interesting.
It is interesting. I didn't realize that this version of the Bible, the Bible app, which is what I tend to use more than anything else these days. It's on that Bible app. I hate to admit that I use the Bible app so much, but because of what I do at church with the sound and the video and all that stuff, I can't flip through a Bible during the service. I
didn't take a Bible to church for a couple of years for that reason. Yeah, I was doing sound.
Yeah. So I don't. Now at home occasionally I open up. I like to open up a book, an actual book. So two books that I use. I've got a couple of versions that I prefer of the Bible, and then I've got a Tony Evans commentary that I use all the time.
That's what Jerry and Lisa, my Sunday school teachers, use. Is the Tony Evans commentary.
Yeah, I love it. But anyway, I hate that, but. This verse here is kind of the beginning of that whole armor of God thing. Right. In order to carry out our mission, whatever our mission might be, we should be doing it with God's help. Before we start this podcast, we always start saying, God, give us the words. We don't want the words to be our words. Sure. We want you to use us to reach people. And that's the way we're supposed to be doing everything. And that's what this is saying. When we do things in His strength and not our strength, we're able to be more successful, more efficient in all the things that we do.
Sure.
Ecclesiastes 4:9. This comes from the New International Version.
And she's all over the board.
Yes, she is.
She's got a lot of Bibles.
2 are better than 1 because they have a good return for their labor.
You know who I thought about when I read this? Just knee jerk. Landon and Drew. Remember how separately when they were young, on long runs specifically, they just couldn't do it. Yep. Wasn't because they didn't have the legs or the fitness level. They just were so distracted by their own breathing. And so they would get out of whack and they would always fall apart. But we would put them together. And together, man, they would crush it. I don't even think they realized what we were doing early on. Yeah. It's like, oh, there's Landon. And so they would talk, which would regulate everything. Yep. And they would crush their runs. I don't know why that came to mind when I read this.
Oh, it's good. It's a great example. Yeah. Perfect example. We're so much better when we're with somebody else. It's the reason why so many people do go and they like to run with other people. Everybody says it's easier to run with somebody else, and I would have to agree with that. That's the best example that I could think of, I'm sure. And nobody should be alone. Now, there are people who choose to be alone and want to be alone, and I'm one of those people. I enjoy being alone a lot of times, but nobody should have to be alone.
Sure.
And as Christians...
And nobody has to be alone.
No. But it is our job.
Sure.
It is our job to fill that void for those people who might almost have to be alone, if not for somebody taking time to be with them. I can't help. This made me really think about that story from a couple of weeks ago where Rebecca was trying to help this lady, and she was saying, "Go away, I don't need your help."
Yeah.
In this race. But she stuck with her anyway, even though the lady's trying to shoo her off. But then after the race was over, she was like, "I'm so glad you hung with me because it was helpful." Very often, even the people who we're trying to help, they may not in the moment think that they need the help.
It's kind of like when somebody gives me a Reese peanut butter cup and I'm handing it back to them and saying I don't need it, but I'm clutching it when I'm handing it back to them, and I won't let them take it back. I don't really want what they're trying to give me, but I'll accept it.
Yeah.
Well,
let me tell you about this strange request I got this week.
Full of bad examples.
Yeah. So this week, my nephew, who's getting married next month, he calls me. My nephew never calls me.
Right.
I'm like, what does he want? Well, I know he's getting married next month, so I'm thinking they're probably going to have, during the reception or something, maybe they're going to ask if I'll say a prayer or something during the reception. And I thought, that's nice. That's great. I'll call him back and ask him, so what's up, Drew? He wants me to officiate their wedding.
Reverend Dean.
Well, just so you know, I am registered to be able to marry people now.
Are you really?
I am.
I had that question on here. I'm like, how does that even work?
You go online and it takes that much time.
So you did that after this?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying you were registered to do that, so you agreed. I was trying to figure out why you were registered.
What I told him at the time was, I said, well, first of all, he kept telling me, don't feel obligated. He said that about 12 times. Don't feel obligated. I'm like, I understand what you're saying, Drew.
Sure.
But listen, if you want me to, this is a big honor. I would be more than happy to do it if that's what you want me to do. And I said, but I just need to figure out, how do I become able to do it legally? Well, it turns out to do it legally literally is like, it's ridiculous how easy it is.
Is it just like a questionnaire online or something?
It's not even a questionnaire. It's just here's who I am. Click a button.
Really?
Here's your number, whatever the number is, the official number that you have, and boom, I'm official and can now marry people. So, but anyway, I guess my point is that.
So did you hesitate when he first said it? Because I think I would be like, oh, I mean, I would do it.
Yeah.
But did you hesitate?
Yeah, I mean, that's your first thought is, I don't know that I'm qualified for that.
It's like the guy that asked me to baptize him in the swimming pool at a triathlon one time. I mean, my knee jerk was no.
That's not me. That's not.
But after talking to Mark Yoho, he was like, you need to do it.
Yeah.
This person's asked you. There's nothing magical about the waters or where it is or how it's, it's a representation. Same thing with marriage.
Yeah.
There's nothing magical about who does it or the venue or whatever. It's the commitment.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
and here's the great thing.
That's really cool, Dean.
The great thing about it is that I'm going to be able to shape to some degree their marriage vows.
So you're going to do like the pre-marriage counseling and all that?
Well, I don't know. I thought about that. I didn't think about it at the time I was talking to him, but I thought about it afterwards. I remember how impactful that was to me.
Yeah.
And so I might call him and ask him.
I think you should. I think it's our duty to, just like in baptism, to make sure, hey, do you understand what this means and the implications of it? And
well, it's a great time to share the gospel with them.
Sure.
And you explain to them where their marriage should be based. Truly.
So not only are you 60, you're now Reverend. Reverend Dean.
I don't think I'm a reverend, but
basically. We might get some emails about that.
Man, this thing's going off the rails. My fault. Question. Sometimes you have to take one step back in order to take two steps forward, but it can be difficult. I didn't want to admit that I needed to slow down and ride at my own pace instead of chasing stronger athletes. Have you had a similar experience?
Yes, and I think I think a lot of times, especially in training groups, you need to set the expectation up front. Because a lot of times, I think I've told the story on here about my good friend David Redmond and I used to train together. And he and I were pretty much exactly on the same level. I mean, I would beat him, he would beat me, I would beat back and forth. But it never failed when we would get together and go out on a long ride that was supposed to be like zone 2 or low zone 3, that we would finish that ride in zone 10. And it wasn't because I was trying to kill David or he was trying to kill me. It was my perception that, oh, David, it feels like he's feeling good today. He's wanting to go faster, and I'm holding him back.
Yeah.
And he's thinking the same exact thing. And we would get done, and we were like, man, you were pushing the pace today. And he'd be like, no, you were pushing the pace today. So set the expectations up front. You know?
That's a great point.
So, and I think a lot of people do that.
I get accused of pushing the pace all the time, and I never feel like
You're
I
like,
do.
no, I'm letting you set the pace.
Yep.
No, you're setting the pace.
Yep.
Funny how that works.
I hear it all the time. But there's another person too sometimes that you compete with. When I do a tempo run these days, I like to do mine on the track. That way I get to check every quarter of a mile how I'm doing, whether I'm on pace or not. It helps me be really, really consistent in my tempo runs. So last year, I was doing my tempo runs right at 90 seconds or a little bit faster, probably 88 to 90 seconds. So when I started tempo runs up again. Per lap.
On the track.
Yes. Yeah. So when I started my tempo runs up again this year, I was trying to do them at 90 seconds per lap. Mm-hmm. And I kept crashing and burning because I didn't want to admit that I needed to run slower. Mm-hmm. And so sometimes that person we're competing with is us, right?
And more specifically, it's our pride.
Yes. Yeah. So now my tempo pace probably needs to be 93 to 95 seconds per lap. And so I've slowed down. Although I just did a tempo run 2 days ago and I was a little faster than that. Mm-hmm. So maybe the fact that I've let my brain slow down a little bit, it's coming out of my legs.
Well, we used to always say you got to slow down to go fast.
Yeah. There's a good example. Anyway, just you gotta accept who you are, where you are, and apply the appropriate effort. I think is the main thing. Have you ever had serious doubts about your ability, but chose to trust God and attempt a task despite those doubts? I have to admit, when I asked God if he wanted me to ride the second day, I was hoping he would say no.
That's the story of Run for God. When it started, I felt I knew where God was taking this, but I wanted somebody to tell me no because I knew God wasn't. And that's the whole story of I invited my pastor and his wife over for dinner. And I'm like, look, Charlie, I feel like this is what God's calling me to do, but I'm not that good of a runner. And I've never been to seminary and all these excuses.
Why it didn't make sense.
And Charlie said, I think you need to do it. And I'm like, that's not the answer I wanted, Charlie. And he's done that a couple of times.
Yeah.
I think that's our nature, is to fall back to our comfort zone. But as we know, that is never where God wants us.
Yep. And very often when, just in this case, the reason why you called him over was because God wasn't answering you. You were looking for a yes or no answer, and he was not saying no. And so you felt like, right?
I don't know if that was I think I knew. I think if I'm being 100% honest, I think I knew what God was telling me. I just didn't want to accept it.
Yeah.
And so I thought, a pastor who's been to seminary, who's been preaching for 40 years, he's probably going to agree that I'm not quite off the milk yet, so let's not do this. But that's not what happened.
You're trying to use reason and logic. You can't do that.
Exactly. Yeah.
I remember back in 2013, I was going to run the Myrtle Beach Marathon, and I got terribly sick the week before the marathon. And I was in prayer asking God, should I even go and run this marathon? And this was exactly the same as she's talking about here.
Sure.
I got no answer.
Yeah.
God didn't say, no, you shouldn't go. Mm-hmm. And I kept thinking, this doesn't make any sense. I've been terribly sick, and I'm going to drive all the way out there only to maybe just crash and burn or even drop out of this thing. But I kept asking God. God kept not giving me an answer. And so it was so bad that we actually stopped at the doctor's office on the way to the race. Just before we left town, the last thing I did was I was at the doctor's office. And we actually left the doctor's office and drove to Myrtle Beach. So anyway, here I am. And I just decided, well, God didn't tell me no. So he's going to help guide me through this race. And so I went into this race thinking I want to run 2:45 in this race. That 2:45 was about a little under 6:20 per mile. And so I thought, okay, I'm just going to go out and I'm going to try to run somewhere around that pace, and we'll see how it goes. I ran the first mile. I'll never forget. I ran the first mile in 6:21. And then I thought, that felt okay. So I'm going to keep it at 6:15. So I went to 6:15. I ran the next all the way up to 10K. I ran at 6:15 pace, and I was still feeling really good. And I thought, that's great. I can keep it right here at 6:15, and I'll hit my actual goal that I had before the race. And then around 8 miles, something crazy happened. I accidentally ran a mile in right around 6 minutes flat. And I thought, ooh, that's too fast.
You know, for 99.99% of the people, they think that's a lie.
Yeah.
You don't accidentally run a 6 minute pace in a marathon.
Well, it happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then so I went to the next, and I thought, okay, just slow down, relax, get back to 6:15. And so I kind of told my body to relax. And so I did. And the next mile, 6 minutes. And then the next mile, 6 minutes. And it's like I was stuck on this 6 minutes. It's what felt easy and comfortable to me. And so I just kept going. I went through the first half in 1:21. I won't forget. And I'll think, man, I am under my goal. My goal was to go through the first half in about 1:22 and a half. Mm-hmm. And so here I am, a minute and a half faster than I meant to be. But then I just kept reeling off these 6 minute miles over and over and over again. I got to about 18 miles and I thought, well, now I got to try to keep it to the end. Mm-hmm. and actually, my fastest mile of the race was my last mile. I ran my last mile in 5:43.
Wow.
And I ran the last 20 miles at just barely a few seconds over 6 minute pace.
Was that right before or right after you started with Run for God? And when I say Run for God, for all you new people, Run for God is now Upward Running. So Let me just put that out there. Was that right before or right after?
I don't remember.
I know it was right about the time.
It was about that time, yeah. I think it was just before.
Yeah.
I think it was just before. Yeah. Yeah, I think it was just before because I know I wasn't wearing a Run for God singlet. I was wearing a Front Runner singlet because I remember after the race going, hey, I thought I'd share this, where I won the race. Mm-hmm. And I shared that photo with Chad Varga from Front Runner Athletics. Sure. I said, hey, look, Front Runner just won this fairly sizable race. So anyway, but that's I almost didn't even go.
Yeah.
Because I kept bargaining with God, telling God, surely you don't want me to go. You don't want me to go, right, God? Yeah. You don't want me to go try this, right? And in the end, look what happened.
Yeah.
So I know that was a long story.
No, it's a great story.
But yeah. Last question. Have you ever found that what you thought was a negative was actually a big positive?
Every day.
I'm hoping we're going to find that out about all these crazy things that have happened over the last few days. I'm hoping we're going to see the positive that comes out of, a death of a good Christian man and a lady who is minding her own business and loved this country, even though she had come here from another country, and just the crazy stuff that's gone on lately.
Yeah, I mean, when you pan back for just a minute, I mean, I was like you. I was a wreck yesterday afternoon. Just it was just horrible. But kind of panning back from it just a little bit. We know where Charlie Kirk is.
Yeah,
Charlie Kirk is doing just fine.
It's true.
Way better than all of us. Now, his wife and kids, my heart goes out to them. Mm. But I think what happened yesterday was what we see as a horrible tragedy. I can absolutely see how God can use that Because, think of all the people in that crowd. And he was on a college campus. There were a lot of people who didn't like him there. That's the whole reason for the events, is it's where they debate, they have a discourse. But I will guarantee you that even those people in that crowd today, I think maybe they understand his message better.
I agree with that.
And so if that's the case, which I'm fully convinced it is, God used what we see as a terrible tragedy for his good.
Yeah.
Because like I said, Charlie's doing great today.
Yep, that's true.
So, yeah, I think, and even in my life, boil it down to our own life, so many things, we're in the middle of it and we just think this is a tragedy, but that's why the rearview mirror is so important. Yeah. You got to look back and you can see all those tragedies and trials and struggles in your life. I don't know of one today, sitting here today, if I'm being very honest, I don't know of one that I would change.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of God. That's the beauty of Christ, is he can take those things. Now, apart from salvation, that's where regret lives. And I honestly don't think there's anything in my life. Are there things that I'm ashamed of? Yeah. Oh, for sure. I had a lapse in thinking right there, for sure. But would I change anything? No, because if you change one little thing, we're not sitting right here today.
That's right. And
God's got us doing exactly what he wants us to do.
Yeah. Amen.
And yesterday, he had Charlie Kirk doing exactly what he wanted him to do. And today, Charlie Kirk is exactly where God wants him.
Yeah.
It's hard to say.
It is.
But it's true.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we'll see. I feel the same way as you. There are some things in my, two of the toughest things that anybody can go through in their life are divorce and losing a job you've had for a long time. I've been through both.
Yeah.
And it's not easy. But when I look back, I was at a job for 25 years. You would think that would be pretty devastating. And it was at the time. But man, I'm so much better off today. Mm-hmm. And it would not have happened had it not been for just
what you perceived as a tragedy.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Upward Sports Run for God Run Club is the best way to stay motivated for your fitness journey and your faith journey. You get these weekly podcasts, but there is so much more. We have proven training plans available for you, whether you're just at the beginning of your fitness quest or you've been running for 20 years. We have something for everyone, and it doesn't matter where you are with God either. We have something for you there, too. If you're not a member, join today at runforgod.com. It is the best value you will find. All right, it's time for Dean's Thoughts, and that's a time when I share something that I've written about the intersection between running and faith. Well, have you ever drifted to the side of the road and you're surprised by that jarring feeling because you hit those little rumble strips on the side?
It's not a fun thing to hit on a bike.
No, they're not. They do what they're designed to do. They get you back on the center of the road because they're annoying. But what can they teach us about running and our faith? This one is called rumble strips. The hum of tires against asphalt was constant that morning. As the highway stretched endlessly in front of me, it was the kind of road that invited daydreams and a wandering mind. To my right, the faint grooves of rumble strips etched into the shoulder ran parallel to my path, like silent guardians waiting for the moment a drifting tire would awaken them. I had always noticed them, especially when running near them, but today a deep thought crossed my mind. These safety strips were everywhere, lining highways across America, holding a history that few drivers consider. They were first introduced in 1952 on the Garden State Parkway in New Jersey, designed with one humble but profound purpose: to save lives. The brilliance of the idea was in its simplicity, channeling sounds and vibration to wake up a weary or wayward driver before tragedy struck. In the 1980s, studies in California proved that they worked, and by the late 80s and early 90s, they had become fixtures all over the United States. What struck me most, though, was that we don't even know the name of the person who invented them. Somewhere, in a forgotten file or a dim government office, may be the record of someone's suggestion, someone who thought, what if we carved lines into the pavement? That unknown individual never knew the full benefit of their idea on the world. I wonder how many car accidents have been prevented, how many families have been spared grief, how many people have lived to see another day just because of that bone-rattling vibration beneath their wheels. The rumble strips remind me of a quiet truth of life. The impact or results of what we do is often very invisible. We do the right thing because it's right, and we hope that it has an impact. But those unseen ripples may change far more than we could ever realize. Every time we lace up our shoes for a run or step outside for a brisk walk, we are sowing into something unseen. That 4-mile jog may prevent a heart attack 10 years from now. That Sunday long walk may keep weight off that we would have otherwise carried, and it may have prevented a cascade of health problems. If you're a competitive runner, that day you dragged yourself out of bed for a workout may have been the difference that pushed you under a personal goal months later. But when we're in it, sweating through the moment, we don't see the result. We only know, or at least hope, what we're doing. We're doing what's wise, investing in our future self. Life works much the same way when sharing the gospel. It is one of the most important conversations we can have, and yet it often feels awkward, difficult, and frequently unrewarded. You may be met with silence or rejection. You may walk away wondering if your words made any difference at all. But millions of Christians all around the world heard about Christ for the first time from someone. Maybe it was a brave friend or even a stranger who was willing to speak up despite the nerves. Or maybe it was a family member who risked the tension of that moment, and their lives were forever changed because of it. When I think of rumble strips and their anonymous inventor, I think of this truth too. You will likely never see the car swerving back into safety after hearing the warning. And you might never know how your quiet consistency, whether in workouts or in gospel conversations, saved a life or changed a heart. But isn't that the beauty of it? That we do what we do in faith, and it reverberates beyond what we can measure. Every step on the treadmill, every early morning run, every word spoken about Christ is like laying down rumble strips. You don't know which moment will be the one that wakes someone up. You don't know which act of faithfulness will be the one that prevents the crash. But you remain consistent, carving line after line in the road, because even if no one knows your name, the impact is life-saving. So be relentless in the right things. Be steady in the good things. Perhaps most days it feels like you're only logging miles on a fitness tracker or saying words that vanish into silence. But know that sometimes that last workout or that time you shared Christ with a friend was the exact moment that mattered most. When you drift toward the side of the road, let the vibration of those rumble strips remind you that it is all worth it. That simple but jarring sound, a sound countless drivers have never stopped to appreciate, is a good thing because it is a reminder that the most impactful things in life are often not seen or even thought about in great detail. Keep doing what is right and good. It is all paying off.
Man, that's a great story, Dean. I don't know how you come up with some of these. I think I want to write them rumble strips today.
Yeah, well, actually, I heard...
I can imagine you running, though, and you getting annoyed because you're running on them, and you're like, hey, that's a story right there.
They are annoying to run on, aren't they? Yeah. This one actually came from a sermon.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they were just mentioned in a sermon. I thought,
There's a sermon there.
Rumble strips. Yeah.
There's a Dean thought.
Yeah. So I looked up where they came from, and I didn't realize they were from New Jersey.
State. Yeah.
What do you know? It's amazing how something annoying can remind you of something good, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and we don't know when we go out for that run, we don't know if it's going to help us. We don't know if, so, when you drive a car and you use gas out of your tank, and then you refill that tank, there's a one to one ratio, right?
Sure.
You know that putting more gas in your tank enables you to go farther. Now you can have maintenance issues and things that prevent you from going further, but aside from that, it's you put more gas in, you're better off. With running, it's not like that. With exercise, it's not like that, because doing a hard workout, for example, immediately following that workout, you've actually hurt yourself. Sure. You're actually going to be slower at that moment. Yeah. But the hope is that the rest you get afterwards will bring that account way back up and make you better. And we just don't know which. I mean, at some point in time, if you run, I mentioned the marathon where I ran under 240. At some point in time, some workout that I did was a workout that was the point at which I got fast enough to run under 240. I mean, by logic, doesn't that make sense? Yeah. But you have no idea which one it was. And I think that's kind of interesting when we talk about it.
I've heard it said this. I may butcher this. I've heard it said before that running is like putting quarters in a piggy bank, and when you do the actual workouts, you're only taking pennies out. And so it's the cumulative effect over time. To your point, it's not a one-to-one, but it's that way with everything we do in life. I think we live in a society that we want that silver bullet. We want that. This is going to fix everything. Yeah. And that's just not the way it is. That's why we harp on consistency over that magic workout. Yeah. That magic workout is not worth nothing if you're not getting the rest of your workouts in. But it's the same way with, it's not that you eat 0 carbs through the week. It's fine to eat carbs, but do all the little. I mean, you can eat 0 carbs and pointing to me, have high cholesterol. Yeah, it's all the little things that most often make the difference. It's those little deposits of quarters, and when you make that misstep. Or not a misstep, when you choose, hey, I just told you about, I was up visiting a friend in the hospital the other day, and I made the choice to stop at Champy's Chicken at 9 o'clock at night and eat fried chicken. Yeah. Which has not been my MO here lately. And my sleep that night was horrible. But I'm overall, health-wise, better than I was in January, not because I'm legalistic in the things I'm doing. I'm just making the daily good choices, not best choices, because best choices can't last. Yeah. Right? That's a good point. You can't, what is it somebody said one time? Don't let great be the enemy of good. Yeah. And that's so true. Yeah. We want to do the great things, but then we fall off the way. Just do good every day. Yeah.
One good decision.
There's a sermon in that.
There is, for sure. Yeah. When you share the gospel, it's really simple. When you share the gospel, one of 3 things happens. Either first, best case is it results in somebody coming to a saving knowledge of Christ. Mm-hmm. Or 2, they could completely ignore you. And it does absolutely no good whatsoever. But most of the time, I think that when we share Christ with people, it falls in between those 2. Mm-hmm. Most of the time, it's, we talk about marketing, how in marketing, it takes 7 impressions for somebody to make a decision. Sale. Yeah. And a lot of times, that's the way it is with the gospel, too. It takes sharing it over and over again. And that one time that you shared it that you felt like, well, I didn't see any fruit from that at all, it was the 4th time. Mm-hmm. And they need to hear it again, and they will. And eventually, it's kind of like that workout. What was the one that put them over the top? Well, it was all of them together that did it. And and that's, so we have to keep doing the good thing, the right thing, because it's the right thing to do. Yeah, because with sharing the gospel, what is the best way to completely railroad your testimony
on the heels of doing a great job at sharing the gospel with somebody. Doing the little things the next day that don't reflect Christ.
Yeah.
Doing the little things every day that reflect Christ is far better than that great word you might give somebody in sharing the gospel. It's always the little things.
Yeah.
It's always the rumble strips. I
Yep.
mean, that's just a great story, Dean.
Mordecai Ham was just preaching the same way he did every day.
95% of the people listening to this don't know that name.
That's right. But Billy Graham went to watch him one day, and it changed his life.
Yeah.
And
So who's the greatest evangelist of all time?
yeah,
Is it Billy Graham or is it Mordecai Ham?
yeah,
Chew on that for a little while.
yeah, for sure.
And I'm probably one of the biggest Billy Graham fans.
Yeah,
But had it not been for that quarter, we would not have got the dollar of Billy Graham.
that's right. Yeah. I can't help but think about Joseph in
Yeah,
the Bible.
sure.
You know, Joseph, he had no reason to keep being so positive and doing the right thing in practical terms.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the guy just kept getting, he kept getting the shaft over and over again, and yet he stayed on God's task for him. And look what happened. He saved his entire family's life.
Mm-hmm.
He saved the lineage of Christ because he was faithful and did what was right over and over again, even when it didn't seem like it was the right thing to do.
When everybody was saying, you're crazy for doing, I'm thinking of Nick Bear.
Yeah.
You're crazy for doing this. I'm thinking of Job.
Yep.
Job, you're crazy for continuing to trust God. It's the little things. Job didn't do anything flashy. He just, day in and day out, he got up and he trusted God. That's the best witness we can have. It's not the flashy. It's not the great. It's the good.
It is.
God
simple.
is, we don't say God is great.
Yeah.
We say God is good.
Yeah.
Because that's all. We don't need to do all these flashy things. Christ didn't do all these flashy things.
So,
Yes, he raised somebody from the dead, people from the dead, but his countenance was not flashy.
Yeah. That's
He was
right.
very meek and humble, and we can do incredible things through Christ while living a good life.
Amen.
At Upward Sports and Run for God, we're all about helping you on your fitness journey. But we also want to support you on your faith journey as well. Sign up today for the self-paced Bible in a Year Challenge and listen every day as I read through the entire Bible in 365 episodes. As a bonus, I also give you running and walking tips of the day and finish with a different encouraging quote in each episode. You must be a Run Club member to participate in this exciting and edifying challenge. Sign up and start listening today.
Every week, we share a reason why running and or walking is so awesome. This week, how about this one? The equipment is more varied than other sports. And what do I mean about that? Well, think about the variety of running shoes. We were just talking about how we use different shoes for different things, and there's so much variety in it now. The watches that we have and the variety of things that it measures and does, the clothes that you wear to work out. I mean, I wear like those half tights when I run. I used to wear the regular running shorts, but you got all these different choices on all the different things that you have through running. Running is more exciting now and more fun because it's more varied than it has ever been. And I think that's pretty exciting. And I think that's a reason why running and walking is so awesome.
What's your favorite piece of running or walking equipment? I think you're a shoe guy, aren't you?
I'm a shoe guy. Okay. Yeah, I'm definitely a shoe guy. Yeah. So it's just shoes, running shoes in general.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just sharing with you the ones that I'm wearing now and how excited I am about
You
those.
said they changed your life.
They changed my life. Yeah, they have changed my life. Yes, literally.
That's a bold statement.
It is pretty bold, but it's a true one. So, yeah. I want to say
I'm the
changed.
technology. I like the watch.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, I think in your running life, the way you've described how much better you're running now,
Yeah.
I think it's because you're tracking your sleep.
You think?
Yeah.
Well, that's probably part of it too.
Because, I mean, you told me your numbers before you started doing this, and now I'm hearing your numbers now, and
Yeah.
I think that's but you think the shoes changed your life.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we'll debate that.
Well,
another day.
I guess it's what makes your eyes go big, right? And my eyes get bigger on my shoes than they do on my watch.
Perception's reality.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you think they make you faster, going back to Lane's zip wheels,
That's right.
they're going to make you faster.
That's right. That's right. And I think technology's cool.
Yeah.
I do like technology, so I'm with you there.
There's
as
the
far
whole
as
subjective
enjoying it.
and objective.
That's right.
We like to live in subjective.
Yeah. Well, how about this story? Back when I was in high school, there was a race called the Kenny Cross Country Championships. Kenny was a shoe store back then. I still have a couple of T-shirts that say Kenny Cross Country Championships on them from way back in the 80s when I ran it. And it's become what most people know now as Footlocker Cross Country Championships. It was basically a cross country national championship.
So is Footlocker formerly Kenny?
Yes.
Oh, so that's where it started.
Yes.
Why'd they change the name?
Because Footlocker bought Kenny or Kenny bought Footlocker.
Oh, okay.
One or the other.
So they just didn't morph into Footlocker. There was an acquisition there.
That's my understanding.
Okay.
Yeah. So they had 4 regional races, and then in that 4 regional races, they took the top 10 runners from each of those races, and they ran a national championship race. And for years and years, it was basically the national championship of high school cross country, and it was great. I remember they ran the race at Balboa Park in San Diego every year, same course, year after year after year after year, so you could always compare yourself to others. The Southeast Regional race, as far as I know, once it started at McAlpine Greenway Park, which I think the first year they did it at McAlpine was my senior year, I believe.
That's the one in Charlotte.
It's in Charlotte, North Carolina. And they still do it. Last year, they did it at McAlpine Greenway Park. They've done it every year there, which is cool because I ran 1540 when I was in high school, and I can take my time and I can insert it into the results and go, how would I do today? And that's really cool, a cool thing. And so anyway, there's always been a lot of this nostalgia with this race. Well, they announced that they were discontinuing the race, that it was going away. It was a devastating thing to those of us who really have a lot of nostalgia with that race. So in recent years too, I'll never forgive Nike for this, but they have muddied the waters of Footlocker. That used to be the de facto national champion because everybody went there. Nike decided that we needed to have a team championship in addition to the individual championship, so they started holding Nike Cross Nationals where they would decide a team champion. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with a team championship, but I don't understand why they couldn't have made those two things coexist. Why do they have to have them on the same day? I don't know. But that was a Nike thing, in my opinion, because Footlocker had been around for a long time before they started that. Anyway, but then they started having individual champions as well at the Nike Cross Nationals. So it really watered everything down. There was no national championship anymore, unfortunately. But anyway, they announced that they were doing away with it, Footlocker. And then some of the old Footlocker runners just decided, you know what? We don't want this to go away. We want this to hang around. And so they went out and started beating the bushes and got with Brooks and Running Lane, and they came to the rescue, and they're reviving the race. Apparently, they're still going to have the championship race at Balboa Park. I hope they still have the regional races at the same places that they've always had them. And we're going to bring this whole thing back. And I hope that they can figure out how to work this around where they can coexist with Nike, where Nike can have their team championship and these folks can have their, I don't know what they're going to call it, but they can have their individual champion, and that we can get back to a real national championship for both team and for individuals.
Yeah, I think it's unfortunate that that's the case in a lot of it. I mean, Live Golf.
Yeah.
You've got Super League Triathlon now, which you've got all these organizations who used to. It's the one thing I used to love about Lane and when he was doing triathlon at the highly competitive level when he was young. You know, at one point, Lane was number 2 in the nation. I knew that because there was only one organization, there was only one governing body that did the sport of triathlon. And I used to say it wasn't like, Little League World Series. What does that even mean?
Yeah.
There's many of them.
Yep.
And I loved that about Footlocker. It was the gold standard. If you weren't Footlocker national champ, you weren't national champ.
That's
it didn't matter if you went to some of these other races that claim to be, but it's like, yeah, it's unfortunate. I don't know if it's good or bad. I think it's, I don't know. Are we holding on to the past? I start to think that, but I do. I'm a creature of habit. I love nostalgia. I just went to a funeral day before yesterday, and the gentleman, they were kind of poking fun at him because he stayed in the same condo the same week in Panama City Beach every year for family vacation. There was no questions asked.
Yeah.
And to me, I love that.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, I mean, you're starting to get all these competing organizations in all areas of sport now that, I don't know, kind of muddy. I mean,
well, back to my point about the idea that I can compare myself to the same guys running the same course now, that's really cool. I mean, I ran that race in 1982.
Right.
And for me in 2025 to say, here's how I would compare today is really a cool thing to be able to do. And, without it, if it goes away, you don't have that anymore.
Yeah. I'm a legacy. Yeah. I'm like you. But a lot of people nowadays, they're not.
Which, incidentally, back then I missed going to nationals by 8 or 10 seconds. I was 16th.
Yeah.
And nowadays, I'd be like 40th.
But 5 years from now, you might not know where you're at. That's the bad thing. That's the sad thing.
Yeah. That's where. So anyway, I hope this does well.
Of course, this is also coming from a guy that I'm actively looking at purchasing a 1986 model vehicle. So
are you?
I'm kind of. I told somebody the other day, I said, I think that's just an indication of where I'm at in life.
1986. What kind of vehicle was there in 1986 that was good?
There's a few of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Nostalgia. That's all it is.
Yeah.
It's probably a piece of junk.
Oh, well,
I will argue anyway that it's better than the vehicle. I'm turning into my grandpa.
Yeah.
I don't make them like they used to.
We all do. We all get there. Our trivia question for this week, talking about the Footlocker Championships. Two of our favorite runners, Ryan and Sarah Hall, ran the Footlocker Championships in the same year before they both went on to Stanford and then eventually getting married. It was in the year 2000. Who finished higher that year, Ryan or Sarah? So you got a 50-50 chance of getting this one right.
So this brings up a good point.
Yeah.
How else in the sport of running can Dean compare himself to Ryan Hall?
Exactly.
With Footlocker, you can.
That's right, I can.
Because anybody, the who's who of running, has ran Footlocker.
That's right.
All through history, or since it started.
True.
And nowhere else can you do that. I mean, yeah, the conditions may be a little bit different, but it's the same exact turns, trails, uphills, downhills as it was in 1980, whatever year in it.
That's right.
So,
yeah. All right. If you know the answer to that, send it to dean@upward.org, and you must be a member to win. But if you are the first member to answer that correctly, you will win $20 off in the store. A motivational thought of this week comes from Mark Twain. He said the two most important days in your life are the day you were born and the day you find out why. I like that.
Good.
Yeah. And it just so happens that the day you find out why is the day you give your life to Christ. That's for me. So going forward, listen, honor Charlie Kirk. Let other people speak, but always stick to those biblical principles, even when it's not popular. And don't let Charlie Kirk's death be the ending of something. Let it be the beginning of us speaking up for biblical truths in a way that is positive, uplifting, and good.
I wrote this down yesterday that Charlie said. I heard him make a comment. He said, always be the last to speak. I mean, yeah, always be the last to speak. Let others say what they're going to say.
Yep.
Give them the opportunity to say their, and that's what he did.
Yep. That's exactly what he did. Yep. So until next week, may God bless every step of every run and or walk. Go out there and shine your light.
Happy birthday, old man.
For more information about Upward Running, visit upwardrunning.com. If you have questions about your salvation, click on the Peace with God tab. There is nothing more important. Thanks for joining us today.